students. I hope you are audible. Uh, today, we
Yes,
are,
ma'am.
today we are going to continue API concepts and web services with some more examples. Before that, just we have a recap of the previous session. I hope you all remember what is SOA. So what is service-oriented architecture? Now, if you read the definition, I think you are able to understand what it is. Service-oriented architecture is an approach to distributed system architecture. So service-oriented architecture or developing the application based on this is possible only with the distributed system architecture. What is distributed system architecture? It is nothing but a client-server architecture. There are many clients and servers available, and they are communicating or interacting with each other for one or the other reasons. So it employs loosely coupled services. You know the meaning of loosely coupled services. All the services are not tightly coupled. It means all the services, whatever is availed at that moment, are not permanent. And standard interfaces are required so that they can interact with each other and protocols to deliver seamless cross-platform integration. At the same time, it is also used to integrate various diverged components by using a common set of protocols. Protocols means you know that a common set of agreement among the applications which are interacting in an environment, right? So this is SOA. Later, we have seen some examples also to understand SOA architecture. I hope you remember this jargons which we have used in SOA. Abstraction, service autonomy, interface is the one which is ensuring the interaction among the applications or the services. I can say service discoverability is nothing but if services are offered in an architecture that should be visible to the consumers. Those who are consuming the services, they must know where the services are available. So they must be able to discover the services. That is service discoverability. Standardized service contract is nothing but the common set of rules, protocols on which the services or the applications are interacting with each other. Reusability, already I said, when the services are already available, we are just going to make use of those services. That is nothing but the reusability of the code. What is API? It is nothing but set of routines, data structures, protocols in order to support the building of application. The general name is the interface. Application programming interface means it is nothing but a contract between the application to application. All the APIs need not be web-based. If it is web-based, we can call it as web service. And that day we have seen the types of API also: private API, partner API, and public or external API. Today in this session, we are going to make use of geocoding API and how to program for that we will learn today. And what is a web service? As I said, if the APIs are wrapped in HTTP, in fact, it is not HTTP, it is HTTPS, Hypertext Transfer Protocol in a secured layer, right? Normally, when you do the transactions using, bank transactions or any payment, if you see the browser, then you can come to know it is getting decoded in such a way that HTTPS, the security, because all the transactions need to be secured. Normally, if I have developed a website where I'm sharing the the content of subjects, for that I don't need any security. I can use the HTTP protocol. But if at all we are performing any bank transaction or secured transactions, those things are to be shared over HTTPS. I hope you know these basic concepts. Okay. And generally, the web services uses 3 styles of communication. You must know the names of this because this might be asked in your interviews. So, REST, XML, RPC, please browse through this. Anyhow, we teachers are planning to give a seminar to you all on these things. I'll give you the topic so that you can present in the classes. Okay. Now, when the applications are interacting with each other, they need a common standard data exchange format. So two popular and standard data exchange format are XML and JSON. XML means you know that extensible markup language. JSON is JavaScript object notation. HTML is different from XML. HTML is used for designing the website, where XML is used for representing the data in a structured format. So XML is one of the standard data exchange format. Of course, the JSON also. Actually, JSON, the objects have been developed. The idea have been developed from the JavaScript objects. So that is why it is known as JavaScript object notation. What is XML? That itself we have seen. Its primary purpose is to share the data in a structured format. XML has originated from SGML, of course, even HTML also. And we have seen the basic elements. What are there in XML? There are tags, right? If there is a start tag, there must be a closing tag also, end tag, and there are self-closing tags also. And between the tags, we can have the information, the text, isn't it? See, name of a person. You have a start tag as well as the end tag. What is the name of the person? It is Chuck. That is the text of these tags. Similarly, what is the phone number of the person? It is nothing but 1734, etc. What type of phone? It is nothing but the international. That is being given as an attribute. Actually, you can treat it as a tag also. Phone, inside the phone, you can have a child tag like type, and you can share it as international. It is up to you how you are developing the code. So these are the basic elements of XML. And we know that when you are passing the XML as object to the Python program, the Python program will be parsing that XML in the form of a tree. This example also we had seen. I hope you remember this. Let me move on to the code now. So this is a code. This is an example we have seen, and I showed the output also. So to convert the XML file or to parse the XML file, first we need to import the element tree. What is parsing before that? It is nothing but extracting useful information. XML might be a very big file. I'm not interested in all the information what is given in the file. I need only the few information. So parsing is nothing but extracting few information which is required for the application. Okay, now I want to give some more clarity in this. There is a geocoding API, right? See, Google people have developed it. They have given us an interface also. They have given a gate to interact with that application. So that gate is given in the form of a key. So using that key, we are able to interact with the application. It doesn't mean that we are able to access all the information what they have kept in the file. We are allowed to access only the few of the information which is required. So how come that few of the information is exposed to you? It is through parsing. I hope you have understood this, right? So the purpose of parsing is to extract the useful information from one application to other application. When applications are interacting with each other, each application won't be sharing all the information whatever they have. They will be sharing whatever the information they require each other. So that is why parsing came into picture. So we are learning how to parse an XML file. So in the given program, this data is XML data. To mention it is XML data, we have in fact commented it, right? So what is happening here? We have already imported the elementary module and we have given an alias name to ET. ET, we are calling it as ET. So this ET offers many methods. One of the method is from string. So what this method is doing? This method is converting this XML into the form of a tree. So that tree is available in the variable name tree now. Okay, once it is converted into the form of a tree, it is easy for us to access the tags. So how we are accessing the tags? Once again, with the help of a method called find. So tree is the XML tree for the given data. From the tree, we are employing the find method, and whichever the tag we are interested, that we are searching, and we are interested. If you are interested in text, we are wanting the text, or if we are interested in the attribute, you have to call another method. So I hope this program is very simple for you to understand. These programs and all you have to practice for your exams. There are questions in the 5th module like this. Okay, now we are moving on to the next example. This is also XML parsing, but there is a slight difference. In the previous example, in the XML document, we had only one tag. Let me show you that. The one tag is the person, isn't it? Suppose I'm maintaining the more number of person details. So how to loop through the nodes? That is what we are going to see in the next example. Okay. So this is an example. As usual, the first line is we have imported the elementary. Then the XML document is given and it is available as input. You just go through the XML data. It begins with the tag stuff. Then there is a tag users. Inside the user, there is another tag user and its attribute value is, attribute name is X and its value is being given as 2. Then some more tags are there, ID, name, user tag is closed here, right? There is one more user tag and its attribute value is given as 7. X value is given as 7 and that user ID is available, user name is available, then user tag is closed. Then completely the user information and of course the stuff is also closed. Okay. So this is a given XML document. Now we go through the code. What is the first step we have to do? We have to convert this input. What is input? XML data. That is to be converted in the form of a tree using the method from string. Now, stuff contains the XML tree for the given XML data. Okay, to find the tag, in the previous example, we used the method find. Now to find or to loop through all the nodes, we are going to use the method find all. You see here from where we are searching. Stuff is a root tag. We left the root tag. After that, there is one more tag, users. Inside the users only, we have to loop through user. So start from users / user is given. And when you do like this, when you employ the find all method, the result is available in the form of a list. When it is available in the form of a list, we know how to access the list. Okay. So for every item in list, item dot find of name, item dot find of ID, item dot get this method is used to access the attribute, item dot get of X. So every item is available in the list. What is item here? Every user information. ID is 01, name is Chuck, and yeah, this is one item. Another item is ID 009, Brent is another item. So once items are available in the list, you are accessing item by item once again by using the methods item dot find corresponding text, item dot find of ID and the corresponding text, item dot X is an attribute, so you cannot find it. You have to use the get method, isn't it? So item dot get of X. Okay, now here similarly I have written one more example, only that I have changed the XML data. See, what is the first line? We have imported the elementary. You should know the module name. There is no excuse in that. If you remember the module and the package's name, then only you can make use of it. So if at all you have to convert the XML data into elementary, you have to import like this XML dot e3 dot elementary. Be careful that this E and T must be in caps. And you can give any alias name to it. With the help of the alias name, you can access it. Right, now look into the stuff. Stuff is completely the XML data. The root tag is mobile users. Then I have user information. 3 user information I have. The first user name is Akash, mobile number is something, and the type of the pay, whether it is prepaid or postpaid, something like that, I have kept the information. Similarly, there is second user information and the third user information also. So we have maintained 3 user information. And the root tag is mobile users, right? I hope there is no doubt in understanding the XML document. Now let us move on to the code. There are two ways of looping through the nodes. This is the first way. First way is, as usual, I have converted the stuff into elementary. That elementary is available in the variable input, INP. If I print INP dot tag, it will print mobile users because that is a root tag. If I say input one dot tag, what is your expectation? It should print user, USR. If I say input of one of zero dot tag, what might be your expectation? What might be the output? One is first user, two is second user, three is third user. I hope you are getting it. Input of one is first user, input of two is second user, input of three is third user. If I try to access input of one of zero, what it might be? It is not the text, it is the tag name, because we are printing the tag, right? So it will be accessing the tag name. Then you can access the text also, right? Mobile number, if at all, I want to access the mobile number of Akash. What is the print statement I have to use? Can anyone tell me? Input of one. One is the first user. Then this is zero, this is one, this is two. You can imagine it like an array, 2D array, all right? So input of one dot tag is user, input of one of zero dot tag is name, input of one dot tag is mobile number, input of one two dot tag is this phone type or pay type. I don't know what I kept in mind that time to give the tag name. Okay, I hope you have understood this, right? This is the meaning of the code. Now let us still go down, scroll down and see what is there. Yeah, as I have, this is not in the textbook. Now from here, whatever is there in the textbook, find all method to access all the tags in the XML data. But you remember in the previous example, after the root tag, there was a parent tag also. Then inside the parent tag, there were users. But here there is only root tag. After that, I have used only the user. So when you are using the find all method, always don't use the root tag. Okay, start from the tag which is available next to the root tag. Then only it is possible for you to loop through the nodes. Please make a note of all these things and practice all these programs. Then only you are able to write this confidently during the exam time. So find all method is finding all the tags. I'm not starting from the root tag. Please note it down. Whereas in the PPT, okay, when I'm switching over to the PPT, I'll tell you the difference. Okay. Now this find all is finding all the user nodes and keeping it in the list. Of course, I'm interested in the length of the list also. I'm going to print what is the length of the list. And for every item in the list, every item means what is item here? Every user information. It is available as object there. Okay. So for every item in the list, for every object, again, item dot find method you are using and you are giving the tag name and you are interested in the text of the tag. Right? I hope the program is visible to you completely. Is the program visible to you? There are two ways to loop through the tags. This is one way and this is another way. You can use the find all method and convert all the tags and put it in the list. Then you access the list. That's all you are doing. Don't get panicked by looking into the number of lines of the program. It's a very simple program. Either you can use this code or you can use this code, but this list concept is available in your textbook. Better you go for the list concept. Now I will show you the output for this program. Before that, just have a glance of this XML document so that you can relate with the output. Mobile users is the root tag. Then we have three user information, Akash, Rakesh, and Ash. Right? So let me run now. Run the program. Wait, I'll share this output now to you. I hope you people are able to see the output. When I print input dot tag, it printed mobile users. Then input of one dot tag is nothing but user. Then input of 10 dot tag is a name, right? Then after that, I print. So what is available in the list? The object, every user is available as object in the list. So the length of the list is 3. We have 3 user information, right? So the length of the list is 3. And you see, we are able to print all the 3 user information here. So have you understood the output? Now I'll do a little modification in the program and I'll show you. See, input 10 dot tag we have printing, right? Now I do a little modification here. Control V, 1 I use here. Print of 11 dot tag. So what is your expectation here? Okay, similarly here also I modify to input of 22 dot tag. Okay, can you tell me what is the output for this? 2 print statements. What is input of 11 dot tag? Input of 1 is the first user information. Input of 11 is what? Can I get output in the chat box? Yeah, very good. Many are replying. Mobile number. Can you tell me what is 22? Input of 22. Yeah, this is mobile number. And input of 22 must be. Yeah, very good. The payment type or phone types, P type. That is a tag name, right? Okay, now let us check the output, whether we are getting as expected. I'll share the output screen now. Yes, as you expected, we are getting the output, mobile number and P type. So I hope you have understood this program. So let's move on to the next concept. I hope for everyone the PPT is visible now. Now let us learn what is JSON. JSON, you can call however you want. JSON is JavaScript object notation. Actually, JSON is easily and quickly possible because every web browser is developed. The validation, authentication is and all written using JavaScript. So JavaScript is a known platform for the browser development. So JSON objects is quickly possible by any browser. That point you have to remember. It is very small, lightweight data and almost similar to Python dictionary. So what is Python dictionary? Python dictionary is a collection of key value pair, right? Similarly, JSON object also looks in the similar way, key value pair. See the next point here. JSON data is written as name value pairs. We call it as key value pair. Here they are calling it as name value pair. You remember in a better way. Just like JavaScript object properties. Since I already said, this JSON idea has been developed by looking into the JavaScript object. So JavaScript object properties also in the similar way, name value pairs. Okay, now look into this example. This is very important. When we are giving key value pairs in the dictionary, we use either single quote or the double quote. Both are permissible. But when you are defining a JSON object, the name as well as a value must be enclosed in double quotes. Please make a point of it. Okay, must be enclosed in double quotes. Otherwise, it won't be parsed. Okay, so as I said, JSON is also similar to XML. It is a format or the data type which can be used to send data between the client and the server applications. Okay, actually, which is better, XML versus JSON is another topic, is another big topic. But I can tell you one obvious comparison between XML and JSON. When you are trying to define one concept, for example, we take the previous example, this user data, all right? If at all I'm writing it as a dictionary, how do I write? I open ID is the key name and 001 is a value. Name is a key, Chuck is a value. That's all right. Likewise, we create a list of dictionaries. But in XML, what is the complexity? For every tag, I have to close a tag. That closing tags unnecessarily occupies a memory space. For example, here itself you see, we have opened a tag users. It means we are going to talk about the users. That is the meaning of the tag. Then user, it means we are speaking about the first user. And its attribute value is being given as 2. And this user ID is 001. Of course, the definition is not over here. ID is 001. We have to close the ID. Then the name of the user is Chuck. Then you have to close this tag, right? The closing tags unnecessarily occupies a lot of memory space. So that is a major difference in XML, and the XML has become actually the old format of data exchange. Nowadays, people opt for JSON because it is lightweight, it is occupying less memory space. It is also defining the data in a very well structured manner compared to XML. So these points you have to remember. Now, one more important thing. This is very important. But it's not in the textbook, but if you note it down, it is easy for you to understand the programs further. See, we are writing Python programs to parse JSON objects. So between JSON and Python, how the data are being understood, that we have to know. In JSON, whatever you call as object, when you translate it into Python, it becomes a dictionary, right? In JSON, if you define an array, in Python, it will be treated as a list. In JSON, if it is string, in Python also it is string. Integer is integer. Real is float here. The JSON, when you define a real data type, it becomes a floating data type in Python. See, you can use any programming language to parse this XML and JSON, but we are learning Python now, right? Don't get confused when all of a sudden I'm introducing this simple JSON decoder. So we are learning how to parse XML and JSON using Python. So we should understand what is the equivalent data type between the JSON and the Python, right? And one more thing, in JSON also true is there. But that true in Python, it is available as true only, but the first letter is in caps. In JSON also false, the Boolean value false is available. But when it is being translated into Python, it becomes capital F. It begins with capital F. In JSON, whatever we are treating it as null, it becomes none in Python. So this data decoding between JSON and Python, we have to know. Is there any doubt up to this? Shall I proceed with the next slide? Can I get some reply in the chat box? Okay, students. Thank you. Now we are going to learn the methods, JSON methods. It is not, in fact, JSON methods in Python. You note it down like that. How to parse the JSON data using the methods in Python. That is the correct title for this. You have to import JSON. Okay, there are 4 methods which we are interested. Out of that, we are going to concentrate only the second and the 4th method. So load method is there, dump method is also there. Now, you please note a point that JSON object is loaded as Python. JSON object is loaded as Python, where Python object can be dumped as JSON. These 2 points you make a point, note it somewhere, because you should know what is the input to be given for load and what is the input to be given for dump. Let me repeat once again. JSON object is loaded as Python. JSON object is loaded as Python. It means to the load function, you have to give JSON as the input, and it will be loaded as Python. When you have a JSON file, you want to see what is there in the JSON file, means you will be loading. You are writing the code in Python, right? So the JSON object will be converted into Python when you are loading. So simply you remember, JSON object is loaded as Python object. So for the load, JSON is the input, Python is the output. Next point you take down, Python object can be dumped as JSON. Python object can be dumped as JSON. Dump is nothing but writing, storing, that is the meaning. Okay, these are the 4 methods. Load and dump is used to load a file and dump into the file. Okay, whereas load s and dump s is to load the string and dump the string. That is why after the load, the letter s is also given. So just make a note of these methods. Now let's move on to the next slide. Okay, now we are going to see an example here. Okay, before getting into the programming example, I just want to execute this dump and the load method with the simple example. Yes. Now, before getting into the program, let us work it in a simple manner. I'm going to import the JSON module now. So I have imported JSON. Remember the point, JSON is loaded as Python, right? So now I'm going to take a JSON object. So let me call a JSON object. Similar to dictionary, you can open a curly brace and close the curly brace. Inside it, you can have a name value pair. Okay, so, but when you are giving the name value pair, remember that you have to mention within the double quotes. So some film name. Some name. Okay, I'm not getting any name now, so I'm just giving the name like this. Okay, look here, name value pair I'm giving within the double quotes. Then what is the budget information of this film? As of now, I don't know the budget information, so I'm initializing it to null. Okay, because in JSON object, nothing is null, whereas in Python it becomes none. Am I right? Okay, then is the film won any award? Let us have some some name like that. Won award. Yes, it is true. It's a Boolean value. For the Boolean value, you don't need to mention within the double quote. In JSON, this true, false, and all values. Okay, Boolean values. So we will not mention within the double quote. Whenever you give a JSON object, you have to comment it like this. Okay, so we created one JSON object. Now I'm going to load it in a string called new. New is a string. So to call the load method, first I have to call the module name, followed by the method name. Since we are loading it as a string, obviously I have to use the method loads. And where is a JSON object available? It is available in JOBJ. Yeah, done. So string is ready now. Now just we are going to see the output of the string. You see the output of the string. Can you see any difference in this? This is the JSON object Using the Python code, I have parsed it. That is what I have done. Now let us see what is the type of this new, so that you will come to know whether it is Python or not. Type of this new is what? Dictionary. So JSON object is converted into dictionary by using the method load. You see the name and the value now. First name is movie in JSON object. Of course, in dictionary also it is movie. In JSON object, budget is null, whereas here it becomes none, because Python knows only none. That is what I have displayed you the decoder, simple Python decoder. I hope you remember that. One award is true here, but when it is being translated into Python, it becomes true, but you see the first letter, it has become caps. I hope you have understood this example. Now we do the reverse thing also. Let us have a Python object and we try to write it into another string, and we see what is the format of that object. Okay, now let me consider the same Python object here. Let me call that Python object as POBJ, and I'm going to use the same thing because already dictionary is there. Control C, Control V. I'm just copying it here. Okay, that's solved. This is a Python object, right? Because it's a dictionary. Let us see what is the type of this Python object. It's a dictionary, right? So it belongs to the data type dictionary. Now I'm going to dump it as JSON object into a string. So let me call that string as DT. Okay, is equal to, of course, I have to call the module JSON dot. To write into a string, I have to call the method dump s, because we are writing the string, right? And what is the string? I have to pass here P object. Python object we are passing. Now let us see what is DT. Say the output here, how the object is modified. Python object is translated into JSON object. How can I say it is JSON object? From these values, none is translated into, none is parsed into null. This true is parsed into this true. I hope you have understood this. Okay. Actually, JSON parsing is quite simple compared to XML parsing, right? Because in the XML parsing, first we converted the XML data into elementary. Then we were in search of the tags in the elementary using find method. To access the attribute further, we need to use a get method. To get the text, first we have to use a find method followed by text, isn't it? But JSON parsing is quite simple. You see here the example, whatever is displayed in the PPT. First, we are importing the JSON module. Then I have given a dictionary here. I mean the JSON object, right? Because JSON object only can be loaded as a Python object. Here we are using only the load s. In fact, dump method is not there in the textbook. I have showed you just to make you to realize the difference. Only load method is there. So if you are very well aware of the load method, is enough. Okay, now you see the data. Name is check. The same XML is translated here, and it is very quickly written here, you see, and it is very short also. If at all you imagine the same data as XML, how many opening tags and how many closing tags we had in XML. But here you see it is given as a name value pair. Name is check. Phone, inside the phone, type and number are being given as attributes. Then email, then another attribute of email is hide, whether the email is hidden or not. Okay, so this is how the JSON object is created. Next, you see they are calling the load method, load s of data. Now the information is available. And there is one interesting part in this. JSON object can be parsed either as a dictionary also or as a list also. If it is parsed as a dictionary, we know how to access a dictionary. If it is parsed as a list, we know how to access a list also. So based on the written type of this load method, you have to access the data. Now here it is dictionary. That is why information of name, information of email, hide, like that it is being accessed. Okay, I hope you have understood this example. Now let us go for the execution part. I'll share the idle with you people. Okay, look into the example now. The very first example, I have used the same data here. Now let us see what is the type of information here. Okay, now I'll completely comment to the second program so that you can see the output of the first program. The second program. Okay, now let us see the output of the first program now. See, note this point. I am trying to print the type of the information also. After loading the data, I'm trying to know what is the type of the information. So let me execute this. While commenting, I think there is a problem. Because of that only, we are getting the syntax error. Yes. Yeah, output has come. I'll share the output screen also for you people. I think you are able to see the output now. So what is the type of the information? It says it is dictionary. And after that, the parsed information is being displayed. Right? So name is check, hide is yes. And another information is there, but I think I have, while printing the statement, I have given the name as hide itself. That is what it is displaying as hide. Now let's move on to the program now once again. See the program and let us compare with the output now. So I'll tell you why it is displaying as hide, because I have typed here as hide itself. So email, I should have given us email here. Okay, so how do you access the dictionary? This is the way we access the dictionary, right? We used to access the dictionary with the help of the key. So information is the name of the dictionary. The key is name. Email is another key. And its corresponding attribute can be accessed like this. Email, hide. Email, exist. So you should know by this time how to access the dictionary, how to access the list. Then only this is easy for you to understand. I hope you all know that. So I confidently move on to the second example. Okay, look into the second example. The second example also I'm showing out of my interest, because I want to show you that it should be passed as list. Okay, so see, JSON is imported. Data we have given as a list of dictionaries. For the list only we use this square brackets, right? So I have opened the square bracket, then inside that the JSON objects are there. So list of JSON objects in fact we have. Okay, so data must be commented before you parse it. Of course, I need to comment the first program also, otherwise we will not be able to see the output of the second program. And these comments are giving me the problem when I'm trying to execute the program. Okay, I think now the first example is completely parsed. See, when you do any mistake in defining the JSON object, you will not be getting the output. So you must be careful. Two things you have to remember. When you are defining the name value pair in the JSON object, all must be enclosed in double quotes. Either you can define a JSON object inside the curly braces, or you can define it as a list of JSON objects, as I did it in the second example. You see, in the second example, the very first opening brace itself is the square bracket, which indicates the beginning of the list. Then after that, this is one JSON object, and the first JSON object is separated by comma from the second one, and this is the second JSON object. Okay, as usual, we are calling the load as function, and it is available in information. Okay, now sorry, I don't want to do the deletion operation and all. I just want you to print the data type. That's all I want to do now. I want you to know the data type of the information. Already dump is method I have shown here, so let it be as it is. I'll execute now. Can you see the output now? See the very first line. Wait, I'll share the output screen now. Can you see the output now? See the very first line. What is the data type it returned? Class is list. Whereas for the previous program, what is the data type it returned? It is dictionary. Because there you try to parse only one JSON object. So when it is being parsed, it becomes a dictionary. Now we are trying to parse a list of JSON objects. That is why the data type, what it is returning is list. And can you see the list? I mean, every object, the data object, right? Is there any doubt in understanding this, students? I hope till this the concepts are very clear. Can I get a response, or you want to go through the program once again? Students, am I audible? I'm not getting any response from you people. Okay. So have you understood the program now? In fact, I thought of teaching you the geocoding API, but if I start, it will take another 15 to 20 minutes. I cannot start it right now.